Hey everyone, this is Karen Waksman, founder of Retail MBA, and today we're going to be talking about selling your company as an e-commerce seller, an Amazon seller, and so forth. So I have Leah, it's Leah, right? Leah Cuff?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yes, because you spell it with, without an A. That just was, it's really but Leah is a customer of mine, and she started on Amazon, correct?
Yes.
And you were selling your products, and eventually you ended up selling your company
In
and
2017.
2017. And is that all? That's cool. And then what happened was you got into retail. It helped sell the company and so forth. And so I wanted to share the story of somebody who has an e-commerce business who essentially sold their company. I wanted to share what happened, how retail affected the sale of that business. And also just to give you some ideas for those of you who are looking into exiting, right? And what that sort of looks like. And so you're kind of the expert right now because you just did it. And so I just wanted to interview you, and I really appreciate your time. So,
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about you. So you had a baby product. That was how we originally started working together. And so how long were you, I'm going to just ask you a series of questions. So how long were you selling on Amazon before you decided to explore retail? Was there any particular reason you decided to get in, explore retail as well as Amazon? Just kind of give me the background, and also tell us what the product is, if that's okay.
Yeah. So basically, David and I, my husband is my business partner. We started the company in 2014, and we actually started with a skincare line, which we grew and eventually sold as well. The baby line, we started kind of at the beginning of 2015. And we had a lot of different products. We had like bedding and blankets and baby bibs. And the baby bibs were the item that I really wanted to get into retail. So before I get into that aspect of it, just to explain the whole strategy behind it, is we started our company in 2014, and in 2017 we sold the company for a 4.7 multiple of EBITDA. And EBITDA is earnings before tax, amortization, and something else I can never remember because I'm not an accountant.
Right.
But the whole concept is you put your company up for sale for a multiple of your net earnings. So whatever the bottom line is of your income statement at the end of the year. So in 2017, we sold, and then the next day we started 3 more companies, and we'll be we're getting ready to go through an exit in April of 2020. So in just a couple months, we'll be doing it again.
So awesome.
So how retail works into that is, if you look at it so our whole strategy is build companies and sell them to private equity investors. So for example, if we sell our company for a 5x multiple to a company, and let's say we're doing $1 million in profit a year, that company will buy up 10 of those companies like us. And so now they have a conglomerate that does $10 million in profit, and they can then turn and sell that for a 10x multiple. So you can see from an equity standpoint, it makes a lot of sense as an investment. Now, some of the things specifically they're looking for is they want to buy a company that has minimal risk. And that is where getting into retail channels comes into play. Because if an investor comes and looks at us and they say, okay, this person's killing it on Amazon, but what if something happens with that channel? What if, they don't, Amazon shuts them down, or, whatever, a lot of different things could go wrong. So they see that as a potential risk. So when you're looking at reducing risk for an investor, you can do it one of 2 ways. You can diversify risk by having a broad amount of SKUs. So you're not focused on just one SKU that brings in all your revenue, or you can diversify by having additional channels. So what's interesting is in late, I guess it was about 2015, I wanted to get into retail with a baby brand, and had no idea how to do it. And so I took your course, and literally I think I followed it step by step. I did everything you told us. And within a few months, I was able to get into Buy Baby online. So what they did, and you are the expert on this, but from my experience, a lot of times they'll kind of test you out online, and then they'll bring you into retail. So right when we sold the business, at the end of 2016, they started putting our products out into retail.
So to be clear, it's not always the case. So in some cases, they want to
Yeah.
test out your product, put it online, see how it flows, and then they'll consider, stores and so forth. So in your case, they decided to do it that way. Whatever it is, it seemed to have worked for you. So
Yeah.
but I remember they actually were interested within a few weeks, but then it took months to set up the paperwork and this types of things.
Yeah.
It was like, it happened fairly quickly for you. Like,
Yes.
Bye Bye Baby was just like the right one for that product, and you felt that strongly. Can I ask, before you did the baby product, like, I guess.
Oh, and also we got into Bye Bye Baby, Babies R Us, and Wayfair, all using the same process that you taught.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. But I'm curious. So when you were actually, like before you started the retail front, when you were doing it without, like you were just selling Amazon as, that particular, their business before, there were other products before the baby product, right? That you sold another company previously?
No, actually, so we had a line of beauty products and we had a line of baby products, but they were all under one Seller Central account. But they were two completely different brands. So what we did is we originally tried to sell the beauty brand by itself, but we learned through the process that if you bundle them together, you have higher revenue, you have a higher SKU diversification, and therefore you can get more money out of your business. So we ended up bundling the two, baby brand and beauty brand, together. Even though the baby brand was much, much larger than the beauty brand, it still netted us a larger outcome by bundling them up together.
Got it. So what I was actually curious about is if you had sold that company separately, and was there a difference between the retail and the non-retail? I was just curious there. But cool. Okay, so you combine it together. You decide that you want to expand out into retail. Did you talk to investors before you started this process of retail? Did somebody tell you retail would help you out, or did you just want to do retail? I just was kind of curious about that.
I just wanted to do retail, but I learned as soon as I started the process of finding out how to do it, that it was going to be beneficial for us to sell the company. But yeah, originally I just had a vision. Like I just wanted to see the company expand as much as possible. And it felt like at the time that getting into retail was like a huge accomplishment. It is a huge accomplishment still. And it felt like kind of like validation, because anybody can throw their product up on Amazon as a third party. But for a company like Bye Bye Baby or other retailers to come in and say, your product is worth putting on our shelves, that's a really big, like, validation, I guess, as like someone that's creating products.
I mean, how did it feel? You know what I mean? When you got that first, I mean, wasn't it awesome? It
was great. Yeah, it was really exciting.
And like see your product there. I mean,
well, what's funny is it's kind of disappointing, because literally we got the order right when we were going through the process of selling it. So I didn't really get to celebrate that as much as far as getting in the store, because we were selling online for a while. I want to say it was 7 or 8 months before they brought us into the store. So we didn't really get to like celebrate that part of it, but we got to celebrate selling our company. So
got it. And you're doing it again, right? I mean,
yeah, we're doing it again. We're positioning ourselves to sell in April of 2020.
That's awesome. So to be clear, you get this product, you start working retail, it works fairly quickly, you sell the company. And so you didn't even have to show tons of sales in retail in order for you to like convert even more with the investor. Is that correct? It was like the fact that you had opened up channels, so you just looked like more of a balanced company. Did they talk to you about that when you were selling the company, the investor? Were they saying anything about the fact that, wow, you have these 3 accounts, like you don't usually see that? I mean, anything sort of like with the investor?
Yeah, so it was more, less from like the person that's by our company, because by the time we're talking to them, we're already under LOI, which is a letter of intent, which is the first step in selling your company. But it was more, what it is more is advice from the broker. So we went through a brokerage firm, and they are advising us, these are the things that are going to help you sell your company. These are the things that our investors are looking for. So we kind of rely heavily on them to advise us on what's going to get us like the largest multiple, because that is always the goal, is getting the largest exit for your company.
What did they say was how much more do you receive by adding some retail accounts? Did they say that too?
They didn't give us like a specific number, but again, as I said before, it's just more about reducing risks. and the less risk, the more valuable your company is.
So you were this new product, had you sold a lot of units for that product?
Yeah, we had a really good sales record for the product. We just basically, I think one of the tactics that you teach is like using your kind of a part of your story when you provided those email templates and stuff, and saying like, hey, this product did like $30,000 in revenue in the month of like January or whatever. That is kind of like a part of telling that story in order to allow them to make you an offer and bring you into retail and things like that.
All right. So you build out this concept, you start selling to retail, you're working with the broker. You're like, yo, broker, I have, 2-3 accounts here, that I set up. How does it work with the broker? How much are they taking for their efforts? I mean, what's the kind of
So actually it's called, I won't go into specific detail, but we sold ours.
Any sort of specific detail. What they're trying to do is figure out like, what are some of the steps? You know what I mean?
So the strategy or the fee is called a reverse double layman. Okay. So basically what that means is let's say, you sell your business for like $4 million. The first million they get an 8% cut. The second million is a 7%. The third million is a 6%. The fourth million is a 3%. So it incentivizes both sides to sell the business for more money. Because the more money you sell your company for, the less, you have to pay in a percentage of the fee. So, I think it was like a couple $100,000 out of the, several million that we sold our company for that we paid the broker. But the benefit of that, and the reason we're using a broker again, is because you have to think that when you're going to sell your company, you want the largest buyer pool possible. And some of these brokers, like our broker has an email list of like, 80,000 like investors that are interested in buying companies like ours, because e-commerce is such a growing market, and it's somewhat stabilizing as far as like how private equity investors look at it, because for a while they were all skittish, like, they didn't really understand like, Shopify stores or Amazon stores or different things like that. So they definitely understand like retail and brick and mortar more. And I think that is why it shows so well when you go to sell your company. And so, but now like, they're kind of more familiar with how the market is looking. And so there's a huge buyer pool out there. And we wouldn't be able to tap into that buyer pool by ourselves. We don't have the connection. So using a broker is kind of like a no-brainer. It's like using a realtor when you sell your house.
So if you were to do it again, and you're going to do it again, clearly, like, because the reason this started and the reason why we're doing this interview is because I ran into you at an event and I hadn't seen you in a few years, and you're like, Karen, because I knew about Bye Bye Baby.
Yeah, it was at the Helium 10 event actually.
And you were like, Karen, oh my God, a lot happened since the last time I saw you, because last time I talked to you, Bye Bye Baby. And you said, we sold that company already, and retail was like the reason, like the biggest, like most useful thing ever. And so now all we're doing is starting new businesses with retail in mind and selling them within the year. That was the goal, right? So you figured out it was like a formula that if I start an Amazon business and I start with retail simultaneously, picking products appropriate for that, and then building out the strategy with the exit in mind, that was kind of what we were talking about. Yep. And so I wanted to get a feel for like, what is your current process? Like, what are you thinking through for the new product? So you're starting from like the beginning, like that's your.
So the overall strategy is basically like, we start on Amazon because it's a great way to do proof of concept, right? So there's a lot of buyers there. So basically we'll start out and we'll look for products that can do about like $10,000 a month in revenue for the first year, because it's a 3-year process. So we'll say, okay, this product, we've identified that we can not only build a product line from it, but it can do about 10 grand a month in revenue. Then we identify 9 additional products that we think can do $10,000 a month in revenue. So we stack those up, right? So now we've got 10 products that we'll be launching over the next year that can bring our monthly sales up to $100,000. Now, if you can get your monthly sales over $100,000, that means you have $1 million a year company. In year 2, we're looking to take those products and double our offering, and so offer 20 products. So now you have a company that's doing over $200,000 a year in revenue. or $200,000 a month in revenue, and then, a couple of $1 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
And then the goal after that is to kind of refine systems, to document everything we're doing, to kind of prepare the company to sell,
Mm-hmm.
while also reducing our marketing costs and increasing our profit margins. And then at that point in year 3, we're looking at what's the best time to exit. So this year we're looking at doing a Q1 sales numbers and showing those to investor, and then pro forma the rest of the year so that we can exit earlier, but we can still show that in the third year we'll be growing 100% year over year again. So with all that said, the number one thing, aside from the multi-channel diversification, the number one thing that investors are looking for when they're looking to buy your company is 100% year over year revenue. That's the most important thing. So that's why we launch products the way we do, 10 the first year, 10 the second year. And then if you look at the multi-channel approach and how that works with retail, what we kind of do is the first year or so, we kind of prove the product. We kind of get the proof of concept. And like we talked about with Bye Bye Baby, we show them, hey, this product is doing this amount of units or this sales number on Amazon. Would you be interested in bringing it in? And so we kind of do that towards the end of year 2. So with our current brands, for example, we're on Chewy.com. So we wholesale to Chewy, and I believe they're owned by PetSmart or something. And then actually one of our other brands, I just got a call from Walmart. I had a call with Walmart yesterday. Awesome. That's interested in starting us out as a drop ship, not like Walmart Marketplace, but as a drop ship model on Walmart.com, and then bringing us into a wholesale agreement once they've proven the sales.
Right.
And that's in the gardening gift space. But anyway, that's kind of the overall strategy is just year over year growth, identifying markets where we can start with 10, go to 20, and then kind of do some of those other items at the end of year 2. And then by year 3, it's time to sell and then start it all over again.
So you're doing the one that you're trying to sell in April. You've been working on for 3 years since the last time we spoke?
Yeah, since August of 2017.
That's amazing. I mean, look at you. I mean, you're just going to keep doing it. So what did you sell? May I ask a range, or are you?
Oh, yeah. Actually, the information's out there. We sold our first business for $4 million.
$4 million, and your monthly revenue for Amazon or whatever.
I think the last year, I don't remember the monthly numbers, but the last year that we had the company, the total revenue was $2.8 million.
2.8, you sold for 4. So, and so then you know what I mean? And so that you establish with the retail accounts and so forth. So basically you just are killing it. So you're actually working on essentially 10 to 20 products at a time in one category. Are you doing it per category? What are you doing now? Are you?
So that is the overall strategy. We did it a little bit differently for this time because we started one brand in the gardening gift market, and it was so successful that we've only launched about 10 products because it is a kit, and a kit has a lot of different components. So actually the product development part is pretty intensive. And then we have a pet brand as well. That one was the first kind of one that we started. So that one has about 20 SKUs. And then we have another brand that's in kind of the automotive space, and that only has 3 SKUs in it. So right now we have 3 different companies, but all together is kind of how that philosophy works. So we started out with 10 over the 3 brands. We're kind of bundling them together and selling them, which is another diversification strategy. So I think all together now we have it would be close to 40 SKUs across the 3 brands.
You guys knew where she was years ago when versus what she's saying to me right now. I would tell you a lot has changed. I mean, you're like a pro now. Look at you talking. Different than what you were, years ago. You were
yeah, it's just if you think about success in business, you got to work on the personal growth side, and then that kind of accelerates all the other stuff.
Oh, and girl, money's working well for you.
Yeah.
I'm so happy for you. So, any tips or suggestions for someone starting out? Because the question that people always ask me is, Karen, when should I start retail? Like, you know, when should,
Mhm.
like, what do I need to look for? You know what I mean? I don't know, just any information for someone who probably is going to want to exit and probably wants to do what
Right.
in
You
some way.
know, like I said, I think, you know, because Amazon is kind of like my playground, you know, it doesn't mean that everybody starts there, or even Shopify or something like that. I think getting into retail is you know, it's difficult. It's not like you can just be like one day be like, oh, I'm just going to get into retail and I'm just going to reach out to somebody and they're going to accept my product. There's a whole strategy behind it. But I think one of the great components about like launching products on Amazon, for example, you can show that proven track record. You can show these are my sales. I've proven this product and now I'm going to launch it into retail. Um, so yeah, I think for us, like right now, um, we have to be like, if we want to get a product into retail, we have to be like super aggressive because we do operate on such short time frames. I can say that if I was better at understanding how retail works, because I still feel like I have a lot to learn, I feel like I could get our products in there more quickly. So maybe you can help me with that.
Yeah, I can. I mean, you created one little, you know, you reviewed a course and you meet. I think you're doing pretty well, but I'll
Yeah.
always support you further. So, how many hours are you working? I'm just curious.
You know, we're working like
Did
20 to 30 hours a week and sometimes 40 depending on if we're in the middle of a product launch, or really ebbs and flows. I think when you start a new brand, there's a lot of hours that go into it in the beginning. And so
That's
I think
30
it's really
hours a week
important.
for a multi-million-dollar company is pretty darn.
Yeah, you really focus, like you start your brand and that takes a lot of time to get it off the ground, to get the product selection part is like takes so long because you want to get it right. But then I think it's really important to set up your systems and automations and build out your team as quickly as possible, because the faster you can document what you do and hand it off to somebody else, the faster you can grow, because you can't build a business without like having those systems in place.
What's the number one way that you guys like just, not everybody's making 10K a month or more. So like, what's like the thing that you guys are doing that's like, is it ads? Is that the thing that's working the best for you? Or is it just
You
spending?
know what's working best for us right now is Facebook Messenger audiences.
Really?
Yeah, so I mean, if you look at all three brands together, we have like 30,000 members in our Facebook Messenger groups. It's like 10,000 members per brand.
Meaning like,
And
like,
so
what are you doing?
we use that. How we use that is we pull people in and we build a relationship with them, and then we leverage that relationship to launch products, to drive traffic to our listings. And so, and it allows us to follow up with customers as well, because the open rates of Facebook Messenger versus email are like so much higher. It's like 90% open rate. So if you want to launch a new product and you you know, want to go on YouTube and find out how to set up a Facebook ad and drive them into a messenger flow with ManyChat. And I mean, you can just start to build a relationship with people.
You just crashed out in the middle of that. All right, so can you just really quickly explain how you're using ManyChat and, sorry, Facebook Messenger, because I think it cut out a little bit. So I just
Sure. Yeah, so what we do is we're really focused on building up our Facebook Messenger audiences, because it allows us to give our audience a discounted product, which drives sales on our listing, which gives us better organic ranking.
Okay.
And then it allows us to follow up with that customer, develop a relationship with them, ask them to write a review, see if they like the product, ask them for feedback. How can we change the product? How can we make it better? But the whole idea is it's a quick feedback loop. You know, Messenger allows you to directly interact with the customer. So let's say you have a new product idea and it's like, you know, something completely different. You develop this product, you want to get feedback. I was saying, go on YouTube, look up how to set up a Facebook ad and attach, you know, a ManyChat flow to it, so people automatically opt into your ManyChat flow. And then you can start, you know, building a relationship, building a conversation with that customer, and you're just going to be able to launch it so much quicker and scale it faster. And the whole thing is now, and I can't stress this enough, is in a world where everything is becoming commoditized, you have to build an audience. And so ManyChat is just like kind of the flavor of choice right now.
say you have a pet product. You're
Right.
putting that out saying, buy my pet product, or is this after they purchase? Just to be clear, so we're on the same page. How are you on the same page at?
So we're basically putting out an offer, and if they opt into the offer, then they come into our flows, and we offer them a discounted product.
So you're just randomly sending out an ad to anybody who likes pet stuff, and you're sending them to whatever.
Well, the idea is that you get really good on, you target them well. I mean, you can hire Facebook people on Upwork for very little to set up really sophisticated Facebook ads for you, where you target specific audiences and things like that. So,
and you're just sending them an offer, and then from there, if they click on it or whatever, you start chatting with them.
Yeah.
Building a relationship that way. That's what you're talking about, essentially. Right?
Yeah, and it works with any platform. I mean, let's say it's Shopify or Amazon or whatever, wherever your product is. It is just the ability. The ability to control the interaction with the customer. Because when we're on Amazon and some of these marketplaces, we don't know who the customers are. We don't have the ability to do that, and so we can't control the reviews. We can't follow up with them and give them good customer service all the time. So building an audience, building a relationship through Messenger is like a great way to launch a new product.
I agree. So do you have people who manage that for you, talking to them?
Yeah, we have a marketing manager that manages all that.
That would make you crazy
Yeah, actually my husband does all the flows, and he's like a scientist with it, and it kind of makes me crazy. I like the product development, like branding side better.
Well, that's why you guys are doing it. You're doing so well. Well, thank you so much for your time, and I appreciate it so much. And April is around the corner, so here we go.
Yeah, I'll keep you posted. You can do a follow-up call. And
yeah, no, I mean, I was sharing with customers about your successes with selling the company, and everybody wanted to know what happened and how it happened and stuff. Because it's a big deal, Exiting is important to know about, especially with Amazon, because you don't know how long you're going to have this ride.
And like I said, it's such a huge opportunity right now because there are so many investors that are looking to buy up companies like this. So, listen to as many podcasts as you can. Find out more about how to sell your company because it's a great opportunity.
Awesome. How did you learn about selling on Amazon? Was it amazing or something else?
Yeah, we did amazing selling machine.
Awesome. Yeah, they're great. I know a lot of millionaires that came out of there. So anyways, I'm so happy for you, and you get to go hang out with your kids right now, and I appreciate your time. Leah Cups, thank you. Have a wonderful day. And
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.